Good evening. My question is all to do with the local plan and the strategic gap, because as far as I can see, as demonstrated by you, there will only be a tiny little bit left. So really, what is the legal status of a local plan? And if there's a red line around it at the moment, presumably the whole application should fall at the first base, and we don't have to listen to how many shops, how many houses, how many health centres, how many schools are going to be built, because a strategic gap should mean a strategic gap. And I think that was the basis on which Wellborn was said that could go ahead, the fact that there would be strategic gap left down here in the south. If they're allowed to go ahead with this, it would just make a mockery of the whole local plan, and there's no point in having one. So I'd like to know what the legal status is, so everyone at this meeting can hear what it is, and also, are the council prepared to put the money in the pocket on behalf of the residents and fight it?
Okay, thank you for that. What you can't do... The basic premise is anyone and everyone, including all the people in this room, have got a right to put in a planning application for any piece of land, and we can't get away from that. You know, this isn't Fareham Borough Council's planning application, this is developers that want to seek to develop land over which clearly they have an option. So they've got a right to do that, and we've got the responsibility, or the planning authority has, to make a decision on that application. The applicants have got the right to put all the bump they want into the glossy brochures to come in with the application, but all the council is considering is the use of that land, strategic gap, and the access to that land from the existing highway network. And that's what they need to make a judgment on. In terms of the, and you mentioned the local plan as well, clearly the local plan's job is to allocate sufficient land for Fareham's housing need, which is something called objectively assessed housing need, and that's being worked up. We know what the figure is. It's not given to us. It's worked up from the ground in terms of housing need. We know what that is. We know that we can accommodate it within the borough without extra applications. And of course, this is one which is not allocated in the local plan. In terms of the legal status of a strategic countryside gap, obviously, I'm not going to attempt to answer that one, that's why we employ planning officers. But what it is not is greenbelt. We don't have any greenbelt in Hampshire at all, except for a tiny bit near Christchurch, near the Hampshire border. So if you were saying it's a greenbelt, that would have a really heavy legal protection. We haven't got any of that anywhere in Fareham or anywhere else in Hampshire. But I'll ask Mark to answer the specific point about the legal status of strategic countryside gap, which I'm afraid might not be the answer which you would wish.
Thank you. I mentioned during my presentation to you that as planning officers, as the local planning authority, we have to undertake our decisions in accordance with the provisions of the development plan, unless there are material considerations that indicate otherwise. Now, the gap is designated in the development plan, it's in the core strategy. So, to my mind, it takes significant weight in our decision making. It's a key tool in how we plan for the borough and how we define the borough. So I'd suggest it's a legal document insofar as it forms part of the development plan, and that's one of the tools that, as a planning officer, I work with, and as the planning committee will do too.